Hey everyone, welcome to Zen and Tech, our weekly podcast focused on centering your inner geek and using technology to help deal with the stresses of your connected life. I'm Renee, and your host for the show is Georgia. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that while Georgia is a therapist, she's not your therapist. Everything said or implied in this episode is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and shouldn't be taken in any way as a replacement for personal, professional care. Georgia, you're back.
I am. I never actually left.
You took a soul-nourishing vacation last week, though. I know because I got inundated with readers wondering where their weekly dose of Zen and Tech was.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that. We did try to actually have it happen onto the Wednesday show, but
we ran super long.
Yeah, we couldn't do it.
They tried to get Georgia on McDonald's Wi-Fi on Sunday to try and do it, and that didn't work either. Ronald was
too busy eating a Big Mac.
So how are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm doing very well. Sorry, just going to grab a cord. Oop, there we go.
You're storming out already? Was it something?
No, I'm here. I'm good.
So what are we talking about tonight?
Oh, tonight we're talking about something really interesting, and I was actually shocked that we hadn't spoken about it already, which is communication, especially with Siri coming out and her manner and mode of communication. I thought that it was a fitting thing to talk about because it's so important, the manner in which we discuss things. And Siri's been in the news about why is she female? And
so before we go on, Siri is a new feature in the iPhone 4S from Apple. It is an artificially intelligent virtual personal assistant that tries to listen to what you say, converse with you, and then do stuff for you.
That is exactly what it is. And it does a really good job in interacting. It understands intonation. You can speak to it relatively clearly. And still, it kind of hits on certain points and misses on others.
It's like a Pixar character I'm finding, because there was rumors that Apple bought the company Siri and they were going to rename it Assistant, but they kept the name. They left it with a real personal sounding name, and they gave it a sense of humor almost. And to me, that makes it much more enjoyable to interact. It doesn't feel like I'm talking to a computer.
Yeah, exactly that. It doesn't seem like you're talking to a computer, and it's very, very personal. It gets humor, it says jokes, and it's very companion-like.
Siri, will you marry me?
My end-user licensing agreement does not cover marriage. My apologies.
That's really cute.
But that's the part of what makes it fun. The Apple is good at making you want to do something. So it does like you don't forget that it's artificial, but because we have so many fake things, I don't know if fake is the right word, but because we're used to watching 3D animation and we're used to hearing artificial voices, and we've seen things like Max Headroom and The Matrix and all these movies, HAL and Knight Rider and Whopper from War Games, we're kind of used to the idea from science fiction, computer from Star Trek, and now it's not perfect, but it's the first time that it's actually feeling real.
Yeah, and it's the first part of taking, and Apple does a great job of this, which is just taking a phone and making it more than some cold computational device. People already talk about Siri as for here, it's in France and the UK, it's a male voice, but here we talk about it as a she. We don't say personal assistant, we say Siri. And It's taken on its own little personality, which makes us enjoy interacting with our phone even more. And that's, it's a very interesting mode of communication.
So what are the basics of communication? Because it's one of those things that everybody thinks they're communicating, but what they seem to be doing is talking.
Yeah, I think that communication is, it's exceptionally important, not just what you say, but the mode in which you say it. Most communication, in opposed to Siri, is actually through body language, and that'll probably be a Zen and Tech on its own. This one is just about the basics of communication, how you can make communication with others a little bit easier.
So are you saying that Siri won't cock her shoulder, tilt her head, close her eyes a little bit and say, "What did you mean by pass the milk?"
Right. She probably doesn't do like the hair flip.
Yeah.
She might, I don't know, or a little wink of the eye. But again, even when you go through text, a lot of the important parts of communication are lost, the intonations with that.
Yeah.
And if you're not communicating properly, if you're not really thinking about the way in which you communicate, your interactions with other people are probably not as good as they could be, and you might not be really thinking about it, there's a lot of different manners in which to communicate, and you can affect the relationship with the person you're communicating so very easily without even realizing it. And this is what this show is about.
There was this old joke that I think is far more than a joke, where it said that communication is not just waiting for the other person to stop so you can talk again.
Yes, exactly. But most people kind of look at it that way. They're dealing with this, when they're communicating with someone else, they're trying to look smart. They're saying, did I look smart? Did I come off really good? Did I win the argument? Did I deal with things, being witty and intelligent? And in the end, that's probably like not the mode in which you should be thinking about the manner in which you communicate with other people. It's actually the manner in which you could like win the battle but lose the war. We should be thinking about it actually in the opposite way. What do I want to get out of this communication with someone else? Why am I choosing to communicate with them? And if I'm thinking about myself winning and how I end up in the end, I might win the argument, but everyone thinks that I'm a butt at the end because I was so rude and crude. I won it, but they've diminished their likability for me.
Yeah.
They like me a little less, and they're going to want to interact with me.
What did you really win?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you might be exceptionally eloquent, but are you actually feeding the other person? Are you making people leave and feel better about themselves, or making them feel worse?
So you're usually very good at communications. Why do we have the communications we do? I mean, I know in nature there's some animals who communicate via scent or by body language or by sounds or by even movement. Like they talk about bugs doing little movement patterns. Why did we develop communications, and why do we communicate the way that we do?
Well, we communicate from many different modes. So a lot of it is actually through body language. Like the great deal is actually through body language, which is great because you can deal with a large distance. But now that we cannot communicate through, because of our socialization is so much more complex, the regular groans and grunts and body movements are not complex enough to match our social complexities of what we're dealing with, which are multi-family types of systems. And for that, we need to have modes of which we can actually discuss things and modes in which we can understand what's going to happen. And people that could do that better survived.
So is it like, and it sounds like it's a continual process, because on a telephone, like if I'm talking to you on my BlackBerry or something, I can't see you balling your hand up into an incredibly tight fist and gritting your teeth. Or if I'm emailing or IMing you, I have to rely on smiley face, winky face kind of things to understand your mood. But the fact that we've developed these cues kind of reinforces how important that those moods and things are.
Yeah, if you're not communicating well, you're going to be more stressed. You're going to get less out of the times that you're speaking with people. And you're going to end up feeling like people that have difficulties in communicating have direct effects on their stress levels, on their feelings of self-esteem, and what they can get out of other interactions with other people. Because if you cannot be clear and concise and make people feel validated and empowered, they're not going to want to hang around with you as much, and you will become socially isolated. So, there's actually some really simple ways that you can ensure that this does not happen.
So before you get into that, though, can you tell me the difference between, for example, positive or neutral or negative interactions? How do we know what kind of interactions we're having?
Well, if you're only thinking about yourself, you're not really going to be noticed about this. So this would be actually one of the first steps, is to think, did this person leave the interaction feeling better or worse about themselves? So if you end up with a positive interaction, both people should feel good about the discourse that they had in between each other. Neutral pretty much means that both people left and really didn't care either way. They didn't really feel validated, but they didn't feel insulted by the end of it. What you want to have, if you're, thinking backwards, which we'll talk about later, is to have both people feel validated, listened to. It doesn't mean you have to be dishonest, and it doesn't mean that you can't give your own points of view, but the manner in which you do it is what's important. And if both people feel better, it's a positive interaction, and you're going to want to hang around with that person again. So during a date, which we'll do dating on a separate show because that's, completely on the other side, but if you want to end up having the person like you and want to be there again, that's kind of really important. You should stop thinking about what you're doing and, did she think that I was really witty when I said that? And, help enhance making her feel better as well. Or the other way around if you're, a girl to a guy.
So you have to not just think about yourself, but think about the results that you want to achieve at the end of the thing. That's almost As a society, we tend to think of now a lot. We'll almost mortgage our future in deference to now. And you're kind of encouraging us to say, wait a minute, what is my goal to win? Is my goal to affect this person? Why am I doing what I'm doing?
Yeah, I think that that's the exact thing. We have to think backwards. We have to think a little bit into the future. So if you're on a date and you actually like the person and you want to, date them again, then maybe you should think that I want them to feel good about it and feel better about themselves. If you're going in and it's maybe a business meeting and you don't care what they're thinking. Job interview is different because you want to impress the person but not seem disrespectful. So that would be kind of like a mid-ground. You might want to push your opinions and say that I can think for myself, but not so much so that you would be insulting to the company or embarrass the boss when you're meeting with other people that are highly important. Whereas if you're, say, Steve Jobs, you're running a company, you might not care at all what people think, but you want to make sure that you're clear, you're concise.
Yeah.
People will not feel so diminished that they're not going to work for you or quit, but that they're going to be able to get the job done first and personal situations are later. So think backwards. What do you want from this interaction?
I apologize for this because I'm lazy, and that sounds like a lot of work. Like, do I have to do a lot of prep, or is there some ways that I can just generally start to get better at this?
Yeah, these are I have some really, really simple steps. They're like the 101 that no one has to see.
In space, nobody can feel me being awkward.
Right. Well, these are the beginnings, but communication is really, really important, and it's actually exceptionally complex. So when I was actually looking through, when I do the show, I also take a look at all the different websites that have different tips and other things on how to, deal with situations properly. And they would say something like, listen actively. And I'd be like, well, that's great, but what does that actually mean? How do you actually that's like a 12-step process. It's not just like listen actively. It's like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, they're missing all of the basics that really make a difference in a communication system that you don't have to really practice. So this is like the self-defense of, being better at communicating with people that are around you. It is really the 101, the communication for newbies.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we'll go through 7 really simple steps.
Okay, hit me.
Okay. Well, one is smile. Woohoo.
But not like the Joker, right?
Like
you want to have like a sweet smile, not like you're a homicidal maniac.
You want to smile appropriately. You want to smile when other people smile and not when they say something horrible or sad. So you also have to be a little bit tuned into what the conversation is. Any smile there is not there.
No giggle
Robot
loops.
Girl from the chat. No giggle loops. Robot Girl from the chat room says, how do you know if it's an issue of the other person listening or rather that your communications need improvement? Well, it doesn't really matter. In the end, we're just dealing with you. So if you're working your best at dealing with it and you're getting better at that, most people don't listen exceptionally well. But if you're able to communicate properly and listen well as self, that person's going to like you more and that interaction's going to improve. It's like getting experience points on a video game. And after a while, you suddenly level up and they're like, woohoo. This person's just amazing.
I listened.
This person's amazing and makes me feel good about myself. I'm going to go and hang out with them. But you'll notice that certain personality types, they don't smile appropriately. And it's you can even just try this. Just test it out on someone that you don't mind. Take a look and, deal with someone and don't smile at them when they smile.
Just
don't
Vulcan.
smile.
Be a Vulcan.
Right. Exactly that. Just don't smile and see, what happens. And just be deadpan no matter what they say. Or smile at the wrong cues. So they smile, don't smile. And then for no reason, just smile. It messes people up intensely. It's really, really hard. I know that, when I take care of people with different personality issues, and even I'll know that they have a personality issue that, they don't have the connection to looking straight in someone's eyes or not smiling at the appropriate times. It still messes with me too. And in my head, I can hear my voice saying, oh, they really don't like me. This is not going well. So, you can take a look at that. So that's an easy one.
Smile.
Smile, and you should have a nice smile, like not something with like all your teeth showing.
Oh, now I'm
That
getting
can actually be
self-conscious.
a little bit of a scary smile. Like it might be a little bit too much. So if you're not sure about your smile, take a look. I always say when you're brushing your teeth, give a little smile and see, does it look kind of freaky or not? Are you good with it?
Okay, cool.
People love to hear their own name. Like if I say, Renee, people love
Yes,
to hear
Georgia.
their own name in a conversation.
That's a good point, Georgia.
Not overly so.
Okay.
Anything, let's do the 80-20 rule. Don't go overboard on
I'll
it.
remember that, Georgia.
But it it will make them call to attention, and they'll be paying more attention to you if you're able to use their name.
Okay. Smile, use their name. Got it.
Smile, use the person name. Very, very easy. And try to remember their name. We'll deal with that when we go through like different tricks for memory. When someone is speaking, listen. I'm not going to talk about what active listening is. Brad from the chat room says, can we talk in the third person? No, Brad. Unless you are Yoda, don't talk in the third person.
Yeah.
It's strange.
And off-putting.
And off-putting, yes. Yes. He has a neighbor that talks. Yeah, it's strange. I would even ask them. That's very interesting. They might have a split, who knows? So yes, when someone is speaking, tip number 3, don't be busy preparing your witty retort. Listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
And try to absorb that. We'll deal with active listening, but just try to absorb, please. Please. This one goes into kind of homework. Number 4. This one's good. Say at least one honest compliment in every conversation that you have.
That's a really good point, Georgia.
Thank you, Renee.
You're welcome.
Anyways. It really does help. It does. It made me feel good. I was like, aw. Yeah. And then I thought, aw, he's just saying it.
No, I meant it. It was totally sincere.
Mm-hmm. But it does make people feel better. And if you can say a compliment that is honest, don't say something that is completely off board and not there. But as my friend says, be generous with what you tell people. Often we'll think something beautiful and sweet in our head, and we never actually say it to someone. So even if I meet a stranger, I'll say, wow, you have really polite children. Looks really nice. And that will stick with them all day.
Nice.
Number 5. This one's great. This one makes conversation easy. So if holding a conversation, or if you have some social anxiety, this one's really good. Just ask them questions about themselves or anything else that deals with them.
Okay, so that's part of the listening thing, right? Because then you've proven it's almost like trust and verify. You've proven you're listening by actually being able to say something about it back.
Exactly that. And it will let them talk, and people really enjoy talking about things that they like. So it'll help make the conversation be smooth. It'll make people feel really happy about themselves. And yeah, we just love talking about things about ourselves.
Can I tell you a
that we
secret?
are interested in. Please.
I worked in enterprise software a lot, and I always had to meet with executives and high place C-level types in other companies. And that was a lifesaver, because I could meet someone almost immediately and I would hear a keyword like golf or something. And then I would say, hey, how about, and I don't know anything about golf, but just hearing it, you can start a conversation and they immediately feel comfortable because they're in their area of domain expertise, and they relax and it lets you relax. And it's such a valuable tool.
Yes, exactly. And it makes them, feel really good about you as well, which is interesting, because you might not have said they might know nothing more about you, but your, rating on them goes up. So that's really nice.
Invaluable tip there. Pro tip that. Hashtag pro tip.
Yes. Next tip, breathe. So wait. Take your time before you answer a question. If you ask a question, if you don't know what to say, just breathe. And number 7 is, if you're getting nervous or angry, or they ask you a question that kind of stumps you,
Lie.
Take a pause.
No.
You don't always have to be completely honest. Like if you just went to get a gallstone removed, it doesn't mean that that's what you actually have to tell someone. That goes within the thing of just, no one's business.
Yep.
So yeah, lying's okay within reason.
I'm in the entertainment industry. I don't have to tell them what branch, but I'm in the entertainment industry.
Right. I'm a dancer.
Yeah. That's fine.
That's okay. Take a moment before you reply, especially if you're angry and upset, because those are the times when you're going to say something that's going to be intensely embarrassing, and you're going to wish that you hadn't done it.
And you can't take it back once you've said it. It's a one-way trip.
Right. And it's better to let them assume that you're an idiot besides opening your mouth and proving to them that you are. So just take a step.
And we had a great tip that was sent into us where that whole listening thing was that if you're talking and you're not sure the person is listening, just stop talking, take a pause, and often they'll reorient themselves on you and you'll be able to continue. And that was a really good tip for me because even doing things like the show, you have to sometimes not always race ahead. You have to take those moments and let everybody reorient themselves.
Right. So that's it. Those are the 7 tips for the basics of communicating. With those, it'll make your communication with other people just a little bit better.
And that will often make a lot of other things better.
Yes, exactly.
All right, awesome. Georgia, where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on Twitter at GeorgiaTIPB, and you can also find me on the website ZENandTECH.TV.
Awesome. And you can find me at Renee Ritchie. You can find both of us at ZENandTECH. You can email us at podcast@ZENandTECH.TV or leave a comment when the show goes live. Please make sure that you let us know how this goes for you. Try this out. Try out the homework she gave you, the smiling, the saying the person's name, the breathing. Try all of that. Let us know what works for you. And if you have other tips, put those in the show notes. Let us know about those as well, because that's the best part about doing the show is getting all your feedback.
Yeah, I would love for you to send in what tips work for you for basic communication things. And you can also help out a lot of other people. For some people, communication comes easily and it's effortless, but for other people, they're really struggling with it. So this can help out someone else as well. And if we really like it, we will, mention it on the show.
Awesome. You can find all of our shows at mobilenations.com/shows, iPhone Live, iPad Live, ZENandTECH, Superfunctional, Iterate, Crackberry.com, Android Central, Palmcast, WP Central. Please check that out. If you haven't already, please go to iTunes. Please subscribe to ZENandTECH. Georgia, a bit of a spoiler. We're going to have the video feed in iTunes very, very soon. So you'll be able to watch the show not only on YouTube, but if you actually want to see us do the show, if you want some dinner theater, you'll be able to subscribe to it on iTunes, watch it on your Apple TV, AirPlay it to your big screen TV. You will be all set.
Sounds like fun.
Awesome. We will see you next week, everybody. Have a great one.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for sticking around with ZENandTECH.